What do the numbers mean for your project in finance reporting? This video provides an overview of the fund balances you'll see when you are in FAST Finance Reporting. Once you navigate to Finance Reporting, you'll see your project budget here in the third column that is called Total Budget. For budgets in FAST, there are three key things to remember. First, remember that the budget shown here is entered into FAST based on your application, and it is prorated if the grant amount is less than the budget you requested. It is important that you strictly follow this budget number, but it depends on the granting agencies. If you have any questions about the budget, contact Orsi Finance at orsifinance@mtroyal.ca. The second thing to remember is that once a project budget is entered into FAST, it is very difficult to change. However, if you receive permission from the funding agency to amend the budget, Orsi will keep the record of this amended budget in a separate record as an attachment in your particular project FOP. If you have any amendments on your project, you'll be able to see attachments such as this here. The third thing to remember about budgets in FAST is that for multi-year grants, your annual budget will be entered within the beginning week of the annual grant budget cycle. For example, if the annual grant period is April to March, the annual budget will be uploaded within the first week of April. Now that you've learned about budgets in the third column, we'll move on to the fourth column. Here, you'll see the project actuals. The actuals include the revenue, salary expenses, and non-salary expenses that have been entered into FAST for your project. Remember, there may be lag times on some expenses to be entered into FAST, as covered in the Being Aware of Time Lags for Expenses to Show in FAST video. If you need a review, please select the video link here. For an ongoing, externally funded project, your revenue will not be equal to your expenses in the fourth column until you spend the total grant amount. Also, for externally funded projects, in the grant revenue row here, the revenue in the total budget row will not match the project actuals revenue until the project is completed. For internally funded projects, there will be no revenue. In the fifth column, the O/S here stands for outstanding, so that this column shows outstanding commitments. This means any expenses that you have yet to incur but are planning to incur and have provided to finance with an estimated number. An example of an outstanding commitment is an approved pre-travel amount for a trip associated with your project. Let's look closer into pre-travel amounts to understand more about how outstanding commitments work. Once your approved pre-travel amount is entered into FAST prior to your actual travel time, the amount will be encumbered in this outstanding commitment or O/S column. It's important to remember that if you cancel your trip or the actual travel expense claim amount is less than your budgeted approved pre-travel amount, you need to request Orsi to remove the amount from the outstanding commitment or O/S commitment column once you submit your final expense report. If not, your fund balances will not be accurate in FAST. For example, you provide a budgeted pre-travel amount for $2,000 to finance. This is entered into FAST as an outstanding commitment or O/S here. After you go on the trip, you submit the final expense report for your actual travel expense that ended up being $1,000. Since your actual travel amount of $1,000 is less than the $2,000 budgeted pre-travel expense, you need to email Orsi at orsifinance@mtroyal.ca to remove $1,000 from the encumbrances in the outstanding commitments column. If you didn't, the $1,000 would remain in that outstanding commitment column, and that would affect the last column, your budget balance. Let's look at that column now to better understand why. In the sixth column, you'll see the budget balance. This is the difference between the budget, less your actuals, less your outstanding commitments. This is why, if you still have remaining outstanding commitments that shouldn't be in the fifth column, your budget balance will not be accurate. To confirm your budget balance, use the row called Total All Expenses in the second last row. When you are looking at the budget balances, you need to be aware of differences, such as outstanding commitments that need to be removed in FAST. This is also why you are recommended to keep a separate record of project expenditures, even if you have FAST research access. When you maintain a separate record, you can always ensure you are tracking your current expenses against your project budget. Now that you've learned what the numbers in each column mean in this video, including the total budget, project actuals, outstanding commitments, and budget balance, you can better review your project fund balance data within FAST Research.